All right, here we go. Checking audio 1, 2, 3, 4. Hey, hey.
Okay, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the City of Delafield Common Council meeting for Monday, November 17th, 2025, calling to order at 7 p.m. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, roll call, please, Molly.
Sure thing. Alderperson Henry.
Here.
Alderperson Schaefer.
Here.
Alderperson Valdy.
Here.
Alderperson Wilkin.
Here.
Alderperson Pevin. Alderperson Price.
Here.
Alderperson Laughlin.
Here.
Mayor Eicher.
Present.
Administrator Hafner.
Here.
Treasurer Bookman. Here. There's no microphone.
All right, thank you. Right away, item 4, we have a special order of business. This is to honor Police Commissioner Jerry McDougall for his service to the city of Delafield. Police Chief Landon is here to present that, and Jerry could not make it, apparently.
Yes, unfortunately, Commissioner McDougall is not able to make it tonight, but I thought it was very important to just share our gratitude. A copy of the letter is included in the packet, but I'd also just like to read it out because it's very important to us. And so on behalf of the City of Delafield Police Department and the citizens of the City of Delafield, this letter of appreciation is presented to Police Commissioner Jerry McDougall. We'd like to honor Commissioner McDougall for his dedication to this community, not only as a police commissioner, but as a city council member. McDougall has served the City of Delafield for 20 years, first joining the city as a member of the Zoning Board of Appeals in 2004, then as an alderperson in 2006, and finally with the Police Commission in 2011. He's contributed to the progress of the department through promotional processes, the hiring of new police officers, and the discussion of department priorities. We want to wish McDougall the very best, and we're truly grateful for his many years of service to the city of Delafield. Jerry's been, with us for most of my career on the police commission, but he's definitely been serving in the city since I've started here. And he's been a critical member, seeing us through the trying times of this recent hiring environment. And so we'll be giving him this letter of appreciation and also a department challenge coin we'll be dropping off for him. So just wanted to thank him.
Great, thanks, Chief. And thank you, Jerry. I learned a lot from him. He was on the council when I first started, and a very, very well-natured guy. He wasn't afraid to speak his mind. He'd tell you were wrong with a smile, and then he'd pat you on the back when you needed one, and tell you did a good job. So we'll miss you from the Police Commission, and we'll see you around town, Jerry. Item 5, minutes. Looking for approval for the minutes from October 20th, 2025 regular meeting.
I move to approve the minutes of the October 20th meeting.
Second.
Any discussion or changes? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Abstentions? Okay, minutes for 20th of October are passed. How about November 3rd?
Move to approve the minutes of our November 3rd meeting.
I'll second.
Okay, any discussion or questions? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay, or abstentions? Okay, November 3rd minutes are passed. On to item 6, City of Delafield citizens' comments. Is there anybody here who wishes to speak to anything on or off the agenda tonight? Yes, Mary.
Good evening, everyone. Mary Daniel, 309 Wisconsin Avenue, here in Delafield. First of all, I'd like to thank all of you for being here, working on the budget, squinting, enlarging it on your computer, as I did too. And it never stays as large when I print it. So Tom, you're going to have to help me out sometime on that. And also because I know all of you care about Delafield. Otherwise, you probably wouldn't be here. And I want you to know that I, too, care about Delafield. Sometimes you think maybe I'm scolding. I'm not. I care. I truly, truly do care. So thank you. So that being said, I'll put my glasses on, and I'd like to talk. I have some questions. And Tom, I tried. I really tried. I read this again and again, and I did find answers to questions. It's the grant application. And I I read it too quickly, and I didn't catch everything, so I did find some of my answers. I have some questions on Section 2 of the grant application, page 207. It says, who will be responsible to build, operate, maintain the project for at least 20 years? And it says City of Delafield. So with that, I looked at the breakdown of the prices, and it said $8,000 for contractual service, and I wasn't sure what that was. Construction is $95,000, and my question was, who's doing the construction? I'm presuming there will be an RFP put out for it, and then there's another $9,500. So I know that's how you do a budget, but talks about a webcam, signage, kiosk, trash receptacles, etc. Who's responsible for monitoring all those things? And I know that answer probably wouldn't be found in a grant application. So on to Section 3, page 208, this wonderful thing that gets hard to read. I highlighted it because that's the way I can deal with it. It tells me that this project is created near the earthen embankment section of Lake Nagawicca Dam, and it's mapped as a sensitive area, and that's been determined by all sorts of permits, et cetera, et cetera. It also goes on to say the project area includes an existing old 2-3 slip L-shaped pier that was used by St. John's Military Academy. This pier will be removed, and St. John's will have access to one of the slips on the newly proposed pier. Near the project area is also the police boathouse and pier to the north, which is used for lake patrol. This pier will remain, and I'd heard many different versions on that. So when I read this, I had that answer. We'll go down to Section 4. It makes reference to the fact that it's part of the 5-year plan of the Park and Rec in 2020, and they approved that, et cetera, et cetera. It says that it was originally a 13-pier slip, and then it was redesigned to be a 6-pier slip to reduce the impact to neighbors and reduce environmental impacts. It says that this results in an increase of only 3 to 4 boat slips with the removal of the old pier. So that was a little confusing to me because when I look at the drawings, and maybe I'm reading them wrong, I see an L-shaped pier, an old one, that had 3 slips. And now the new pier design to me looks like a garden fork. So you have 2 boats here, 2 boats here, and 2 boats here, rather than 3. So that's a total of 6. And that does not include St. John, the boat patrol thing. It's completely separate. It's on the other side of that boat dock. So I guess, where does this, the relationship between the 3 to 4 slips versus this actual 6? And in my mind, it's just tweaking numbers. There are going to be 6 slips there. There were 3, or maybe 2, but now there will be 6. My question is, that boat slip for St. John's, how does that get monitored? Do they have to leave a boat there all summer so nobody else uses it? Is it a sign that says for St. John's only? So I think some of the things that would make this a good project have yet to be answered, and that's my concern. It's a capital request of $115,500, and I really think that those finite details should be part of this decision because the city has promised to take care of it for 20 years. We should have our ducks in a row. That's my personal opinion. That's how my dad taught me how to do business. And also on page 219, there's a paddleboat kayak launch on St. John's Park. The narrative attached says it could be attached to a pier. My question is, where is that pier in the park? And because we've been all through these DNR permits and lawsuits and everything else, my question is, does that proposed kayak launch need a permit from the DNR because it's also close to the dam? I'm a little leery about water things in the DNR lately in the city. Page 220 in your capital improvements, or request, excuse me, is the extension of the St. John's Park safety lighting verse via the VMR to Liberty Park. This lighting request was turned down in the 2025 budget because it was determined not to be a good use of dollars for a capital item. The city of Delafield provides a temporary stage tent for events that are put on by the Delafield Arts Foundation on a year-to-year basis. They have had 5 to 7 events in the summer from the beginning of June to the end of August, when daylight saving time is in effect. Here's a thought. Use your flashlight on your phone. It's much cheaper if you need to find your way. And if you're like me, then you got to figure out how to turn it off. As I said in the last budget hearing, Delafield is truly, we've already gone home at 9 o'clock. So please do a deep dive for your requests. Are they fully vetted? And will that, what's the return on those tax dollars? So if, you can blame my dad for this one because that's how he taught me. So again, thank you and take care.
All right, thanks, Mary. Anyone else wish to speak to anything on or off the agenda this evening? Yes, sir.
Good evening. I'm Frank Pasternak. I live at 2909 Sylvester Drive, and I'm just here to vocalize support for the pier project. I know it's been incredibly vetted the last 5 years, ever since the plan. I know and was here and testified when others came here, and I heard some of them. And the one that struck me, and I'm going to remind you of her, was a woman who didn't live on the lake, but came with her family to visit and wanted a place to go to. And unlike a lot of us, didn't have a home on the lake to go to, but instead had nowhere to go to, other than, of course, you know, the marina where you pull in at Nagawicka Park. So I just wanted to let you know that my family, there's 4 adults there, we all support it, and we think it's a good expenditure of money. And honestly, I have met or heard very few complaints other than the people whose backyard this comes to. Okay, thanks.
All right, thanks, Frank. Anyone else wish to speak? Well, she was next.
My name is Carol McAllister. I live at 1925 Moraine End Drive in the city of Delafield. Phosphorus in our lake is a cause for concern because excessive amounts cause algae blooms and dead zones, thus degrading water quality. There are 2 sources for the phosphorus in our lake: man-made and natural. If I remember rightly, the Common Council recognized this problem and curtailed the use of phosphorus-rich fertilizers near the lake. That helps with man-made phosphorus. But preventing man-made phosphorus is only part of the solution. The rest of the solution has to do with nature's ongoing addition of phosphorus, thanks to our geology. For that, we are indebted to an algae called chara, which grows in the shallows around the lake. Chara reduces phosphorus by precipitating it with calcium. Simple and effective. Because St. John's Bay is rich in chara, it serves the lake as a whole. Damage the chara, and you damage the lake as a whole. What's the best way to damage chara? Boating in the shallow water of St. John's Bay. Piers will encourage that damage. Please help preserve the water quality of the lake. Do not allow piers in St. John's Bay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else wish to speak to anything on or off the agenda? Yes, sir.
Hi, it's Scott Hubbard, 2921 Sylvester Drive. Been on the lake for about 6 years on Negawicka, and whether it's just my family or when we have friends over, things that we hear around the lake, it'd be nice to have some extra places to go, bring some extra dollars to downtown Delafield businesses. I just wanted to give my support for the piers in St. John's Bay.
Thank you. Is there anyone else here who wishes to speak? Yes.
Brad Schmidt, 1686 Blue Spruce Lane. We're in the Kettle on Negawicka. I have a family with young children, and as that gentleman stated, there's really no activities other than, boating, tubing, which is great. But yeah, to go get ice cream, to go get a beer, go get something downtown with the kids, food, be great. So I'm in support of the pier. And comment on the ladies there, I live in the Kettle, and the Kettle's full of chara. So I don't know if that pier is going to affect the amount of chara that's in this lake. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else here wish to speak tonight? Yes, sir.
Stephen Dorgy, 3054 Stonebridge Isle.
Can you please spell your last name?
Doerge, Stefan. So I'm just going to echo what's already been said. We also have a young family looking for other things to do other than go to the Commodore, which is a nice place, but very expensive. We've spoken to many families, both on and off the lake. Everybody that we've spoken to is in support of the pier. If you're going to start limiting boats in shallow areas, that's a lot of the lake that should also be shut down. All the channels should be shut down, don't necessary traffic, all of St. John's Bay. So I think it's sort of a slippery slope to start saying we're not going to allow boats in shallow areas. I certainly think it's reasonable to have an expectation of how boating is done in those areas, but I think once you start restricting those things, it's a slippery slope, and it's not a good idea. I think adding the pier just adds to the civil engagement around the city, just like the bike path has. I think this is a very positive thing for the lake, and I just want to say I strongly support it.
All right, thank you. Anyone else wish to speak tonight? I think we cleared the house. All right, thank you. With that, we'll consider citizens' comments now closed. Next up, boards, committees, and commission reports. Licenses. Anything, Molly?
Just an update, I did post the notice for the available license, so.
Very good. Okay, B, Plan Commission, Dirk.
The only thing we have to bring before the council tonight is ordinance number 844 that deals with allowing artisan and craft workshops and student studios as a conditional use in the agricultural district. And Bonnie is here for about, the 10th time now between
at least, yes,
the Plan Commission and the council. I would move to approve ordinance number 844.
Well, actually, so that's good. Before we have a motion, because she wouldn't be able to speak during discussion on a motion, Do you have anything to add other than just a quick, if you have a 60-second overview of what you're trying to do?
Yeah, I'm Bonnie Knopf. I reside at 200 Neshota Road. The property in question is 345 Neshota Road. I'm trying to bring a farmer's market year-round to the community. That's the long and short of it.
All right. Well, this was, okay, go ahead, Dirk. Sorry. Dirk made a motion, or is about to.
I move to approve ordinance number 844 to allow artisan and craft workshops and studios as a conditional use in A1 agricultural districts, subject to certain conditions being met.
I'll second.
I'll fill in some of the details here too, just briefly. There's several conditions that are involved with this. It's very vetted, so it's very few properties in the city would enable this type of a use, so we're not gonna have roadside stands popping up on every corner. This is very unique to existing agricultural districts, where you've seen things like in Stone Bank and other areas where similar things occur, and she's got a great spot for it. And there's a couple others in the city, so it's not just for her, but that's my 2 cents worth. And the Plan Commission, like I said, it went through 2 or 3 visits there and came up with what was recommended for us to pass as an ordinance update. So any other discussion or questions for Dirk or me or the Plan Commission? All right, with that, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Or abstentions? Okay, motion passes.
Thank you.
We'll see you again at the Plan Commission. Come on.
Yes. Thank you.
Okay, anything else, Dirk?
No, that's all for this month.
All right. Lake Welfare Committee. Mr. Price.
Yes, we met last week and talked about several different things. The 2, I think, of them are most significant. We're going to be doing some publishing on the communicator on both of them. If that's approved. One thing we talked about was that came out of the Lake Awareness meeting we had back in September. There was an awful lot of complaints, not only about wakeboard boats, but the noise either a wakeboard boat or any boat would have by excessive speakers. And we sat down with the chief of police, and there is an ordinance on the books limiting how noise like that is handled. And he agreed that the boats on the lake, if they heard excessive noise, would be able to stop them and give them a warning ticket. Maybe down the road there would be actual ticket, but our only concern was just if we tell people to limit it, they probably will. Chief, if I'm speaking outside of what we discussed, please jump in here. The other thing we talked about was the underwater use of aerators in the lake. There's a lot of this going on during the summertime. Now we're seeing an increase of that in the wintertime. And there's been a lot of concern with people. We had an individual in a neighboring lake probably died from being too close to some open water that was formed by an aerator. We can't find any real legitimate use for them, but actually a real danger to walkers, skaters, snowmobilers, four-wheel vehicles, whatever. The DNR has extensive guidelines for the use for safety on this because they have a real concern as well. There's some real reasons for using it, mostly in fish habitat, but that's not what people are using it for. They're trying to protect piers that are permanent piers, which I can't see why it's a permanent pier if you have to put a, underwater, pump to blow on. But any ice that's going to damage that pier is a mile down the lake and not right next to your pier. So that I don't think is a legitimate reason to do it. So we're going to also publish what the DNR guidelines are in the communicator and make that real clear. And then if they see, neighbors see somebody who just has an open water that's not properly protected with all the things that you're supposed to have out there to protect somebody from falling through the ice, that they would then, the ordinance says call the sheriff. Just talking with the chief prior to the meeting, and he's going to check in whether that's for here would be the city of police, the Delafield police, or we actually have to call the sheriff. But we'll get back to you in the article before that's determined. So that's all we had to talk about.
Those are good issues. Good luck. Keep it up. D, Park and Recreation Commission, Tree Board.
No meeting, no report. Our next meeting is a week from tonight.
Okay, Public Works Committee.
The committee did not meet, but I did want to report to the council that the Hillside Crosswalk has been completed, and the ladies in the Hillside community are planning a small ribbon-cutting ceremony on December 5th to celebrate.
And that's not a neighbor's 411 prank like the last one? Okay, good.
And everybody's invited.
Okay.
No fireworks, no fireworks, no permits needed.
Okay,
That's all I
good.
have.
Good to know. Okay, Delhart Commission, our next meeting is tomorrow. Everyone's welcome. Police Commission,
No meeting, no report.
all right. Other than that, we lost Jerry, not lose him, he resigned. There's another one. We've got 2 replacements coming to fill the vacancies. Library Board, Alderperson Henry.
Yeah, we met last week, and just a reminder, next Tuesday, the 25th, is the Culvers fundraiser at the Wales Culvers from 4 to 7, so stop by there to help raise money for the library. And 2026, the library is going to be doing an interior painting of most of the library, so we're still working on the planning on that, but there's going to be some areas closed off during the year at some point, so it's not on the books yet, we're still working on it, but I just want to give people a heads up.
All right, thank you. What do we have here now? Zoning Board of Appeals, so that's
No meeting, no
okay.
report.
Promotional and Tourism Commission,
We didn't have a meeting. Our next meeting is December 9th, but we do have a tree lighting ceremony on Friday at between 5 and 6. I believe you will be there, Mr. Mayor.
I will be there,
Are you singing?
if I need to. I haven't been asked yet. You may not want me to. Okay, thank you. Lake Country Fire and Rescue Commission, do not believe there was a meeting. And Lake Country Fire and Rescue Board, we'll be talking plenty of Lake Country Fire and Rescue Board coming up. Deer Management Committee,
No meeting, no report, and the meeting that was scheduled for tomorrow night has been canceled, so the next meeting will be next month.
okay. And then other committees, commissions, and boards, none. Unfinished business, there's none of that. We're keeping up to date. Mayor's report, got a few items here. One, need to accept the resignation of Mark Beerley from the as a citizens member position on the Police Commission, term to expire 4/28. So I need a motion for that, to accept that.
I move to approve the resignation of Mark Byerly.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Abstentions? Okay, motion passes. Thank you for your service, Mark. And also accept the resignation of Jerry McDougall from as a citizen member of the Police Commission, term to expire 4/27.
I move to approve the resignation of Jerry McDougall.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay, or abstentions? Okay, thanks again, Jerry. Now we'll fill one of those. Confirm appointment of Jared Volk as a citizen member to the Police Commission vacated by Jerry McDougall, term to expire April 2027.
I move to approve the appointment of Jared Volk to the Police Commission.
I'll second.
Okay, any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay, or abstentions? Okay, welcome, Jared. And aside from that, there's been talk of a Christmas tree lighting, and there's lots of other Christmas festivities coming up. I know Hawkson always has something first Saturday of the month, and there's other things coming up too. We'll just check our website and both tourism and commerce sites, because there's a lot of fun stuff. And you saw our Christmas decorations are up downtown, getting better every day. And I heard a rumor about some elves decorating the inside of the warming house by the pond as like Santa's workshop. So just walk by and check the progress there. Next, new business, discussion and possible action regarding the following items on item 11. A, discussion and possible action regarding proposed building permit fee increases and adoption of resolution 2025-11, updating the city fee schedule related to city's building permit fees. So let's see, aside from what we have in the packet, anything we need to add to this other than Tom? Or is this all Scott?
Yeah, we do have Building Inspector Scott Hussinger here to answer any questions that the council might have regarding this.
Hi, Scott. You want to just speak to the update and where there's significant changes, if any, and why they would change?
Proposing increases because they haven't changed in 12 or 13 years, so it's time. And we just want to be consistent. We don't want to be the highest or the lowest, but right somewhere consistent with other comparable communities in the area. So just my fee comparison, I just single out 3 major permit classifications. NSF, new single-family houses. Commercial would be commercial buildings, commercial additions, and then the mechanical permits, plumbing, heating, and electrical. And then the proposed fees are similar to others in the area.
Any other questions for Scott, or looking for a motion to approve the updated fee schedule?
I have a question. Can you explain where these fees go? Do I understand right, they're split between you and the city?
That's correct.
75-25?
I think that is correct. Yes.
So in essence, you're asking for, this is essentially a huge raise, right?
Yeah, and it's something we should have done in smaller increments along the way.
Okay.
Or he's going to do business for everybody else but us. Right? Is there any other questions?
No, I'd move to approve the new fee schedule.
I'll second.
Any more discussion or questions? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say nay. Abstentions? Okay, motion passes. Thanks, Scott.
Thank you.
All right, next, 11B, discussion and action to order a special election to determine the common council, based on our recommendation on August 18th, 2025, wherein George Pavin was appointed to fill the Aldermanic District 5 seat until April 2026, which the residue of District 5 alderperson's unexpired term will be filled by special election in accordance with 17.231 AM Wisconsin statutes. So we're just looking to formalize this with a request for special election for District 5.
Yeah, there's a,
If you're going to make a motion.
I'll make the motion, but the document needs to be updated. It says District 4.
Aha. Are you just using that as a template? Nope, it needs to be District 5.
And just in the title. But I'll move to approve the order for a special election for the position of Aldermanic District 5.
Second.
Okay, any other discussions other than including the change in the header?
Who had the second?
That was Dirk. Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay, or abstentions? All right, motion passes.
Does he get a nameplate now?
It's actually on order.
He's gonna get one before the election. Yeah, if he runs. All right. 11C, discussion and possible action regarding the third amendment to the Lake Country Fire and Rescue Intermunicipal Agreement, and that is in the packet. I'll just say that we're here based on the fact that, and you do know, in our last, about two meetings ago, we actually proposed the full extension of a third amendment, which was to create a 7-year term contract with all of the changes that we had agreed to over the year leading into it. And then supplemented with that, we asked for a little bit of house cleaning with some old residual issues with the contract language. And we submitted that to our partners in LCFR. And after about a week or so, a meeting was called by town of Delafield, which we were all invited to. It was an open public meeting. But disappointingly, we didn't come to a resolution on advancing the full term amendment for a couple of reasons. One person actually from one of our partners said that they never read the document with the proposed updates that we had included, even though there was a 2-week time period that had elapsed. And another reason was there was a change in language to a particular term agreement that had not been brought up during the year leading into this. So it was kind of a surprise change in terms in the 11th hour. So what was quickly suggested by the same people, by some of our partners, was to say that we did not have it within our capabilities as a group to come up with a full-fledged 7-year term amendment, and that we should go for a 1-year fix that essentially executes the first year of that term. So with some, maybe Tom will elaborate, I'm sure, but it's not perfect. Our attorney said there are some, we need to accept what she termed scrivener's errors in the document, which is this 1-year amendment, but they're not substantive to the actual things that are important to the city, and that is that the formula change is as we've been planning and talking to, which commits us to that same budget dollar amount that we've been thinking of and planning to and agreeing to all along. And that we're going to bring on 3 new full-time firefighters. Those are the 2 key elements of this. So that's included in here. And with that, I don't know, Tom will fill in any cracks that I might have left open, which I'm sure there's some. And I don't know if you go ahead and add anything, Tom, and then any questions people have after Tom's done, let's talk.
I don't have much to add. You just mentioned that this achieves the first year of the full amendment. That's not quite accurate because there's a lot of miscellaneous things that we're going to change with the full amendment, such as changing the passage of a motion on the fire board from unanimous to 6 out of 7. So that's not included yet in this simplified amendment. But as the mayor said, what this accomplishes is it identifies what the budget is for next year and identifies the first year of the cost-sharing formula that we had intended on including in the full amendment.
So our goal tonight is to pass this along with the subsequent items regarding the actual budget numbers. So it needs to be one step at a time. So we'd be looking for a motion to pass this and, of course, answer any questions or clarify anything that anyone has.
I move to approve the 3rd amendment to the LCFR intermunicipal agreement.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Cover anything else? Questions? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Or abstentions? Okay, passes unanimously. Item D, discussion and possible action regarding the 2026 LCFR operating budget, including a total operating budget of $7,575,279 and total municipal contributions of $4.8242210.7 million. Department generated revenues of $2.23505.843 million and a LCFR fund balance contribution of $516,000. The city of Delafield's share in the total municipal contributions would be $1,851,720.62. So again, this is, let's see, looking for a motion to pass the operating and capital, operating, okay. Budget as stated there, and that's included in the amendment.
I move to approve the 2026 LCFR operating budget.
Second.
Yes, question, George?
Who had that one?
It was Danielle, and who seconded it? Dirk, okay. George, question?
Okay, so part of this capital budget is a peer project.
No, okay, this is segregated from that, we're not
only
into
fire
that yet.
department? I'll hold off on my question.
Okay. Okay, any other questions? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Abstentions? Okay, the operating budget for LCFR is passed. And discussion and possible action, item E, for the LCFR capital budget, including a total amount of $1.125 million, and the city of Delafield share to be $446,534.02.
I move to approve the 2026 LCFR capital budget.
Second.
Any questions on this?
George, can you turn on your microphone to second that?
Second.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Abstentions? Motion passes. We have a capital and operating budget for LCFR without the chief saying a word. Oh, he said plenty coming into this. Thanks, Chief. Thanks for being here. So item 11G, discussion and possible action regarding, oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, the last F.
Yeah, let's do this too. Item F, discussion and possible action regarding Resolution 2025-13, resolution adopting the fire protection and emergency medical services fee schedule to incorporate an annual fee adjustment increasing fire and EMS fee from the current $463 per emergency service equivalent to $470 per emergency service equivalent, so an increase of $7.
I move to approve Resolution 2025-13.
Second.
Is there any discussion regarding this? Questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Or abstentions? Okay, we have a way to pay for it too, so that's important. So item 11G, discussion and possible action regarding the proposed 2026 City of Delafield operating budgets, capital budget, and 2025 tax levy to support the 2026 budget. So this is where we slow down just a little bit. So we have the proposed budget in the book, in the packet, and we'll go through the operating budget and then the capital budget after, as we've done in the past. Is there any, oh, we've got it up. Is there anything you'd like to add, Tom, or start off with?
In our memo today, we did include that Mayor Eicher had identified that there was a $2,000 inclusion in the budget for a fire study. That's a fire study that was in the 2025 budget, and it was inadvertently carried over to this budget. So staff is recommending that $2,000 can be removed by motion, and that it's recommended that if you do choose to remove that, that it be removed and the city's use of fund balance to balance the budget be reduced by $2,000 as opposed to reducing the levy by $2,000.
I will so move.
I'll second.
Does that work?
Well,
Or do you need
let me
to
start by
say that?
saying that how we've done this in the past is someone first makes a master motion to approve the operating budget.
All right.
And then we make individual amendments before passing the entire motion as amended.
Okay, I will make a motion to approve the budget, the 2026 budget.
Operating budget.
Operating budget, sorry.
Is there a second?
Yes, I'll second that.
Okay.
I think we'll vote together, just ahead.
Okay, so while that's, now it's open, any
Okay.
motions now to amend it?
Now I would like to move to remove the $2,000
Fire study.
fire study and remove that from the fund balance
Usage.
usage.
Yep.
Okay, is there a second for that motion?
Yes, I'll second that motion.
Any discussion or questions about that? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, say nay. Abstentions? Okay. So that has been removed while the budget stays open. Any other questions or proposed changes to the operating budget?
Who had the second on that removal?
Who wants to take blame for the second on the, Dirk?
I seconded
Oh.
the 2,000. Is that what you're asking about?
Yes, yes. Thank you.
Is the
The operating budget?
tourism spend, that's operating. Then I do have something. Tourism budget, we have $630,000 of revenue, $185,000 spent on marketing. That money could be spent, well, I'll make a motion that let me say this, the consultant marketing spend be reallocated to tangible municipal developments that encourage tourism.
So the council does not have the authority to change promotion and tourism's budget. They're similar to the library, where the library board has complete control of their funds.
Okay, so that section of this budget is not up for discussion.
Correct.
And it's a
There it
state
is.
thing, it's not the promotion and tourism's decision, that's a
State gives the
state.
promotion and tourism.
Right, they've changed the
Commission.
rules as to where money goes and comes from and how much can be given, so it's not ours.
Okay, because they allow that money to be spent other ways that we're not seeing. Okay. Thanks for the clarification. Then, no, I have nothing.
Anyone else have any questions or proposed changes to the operating budget? Everyone's either pensive or they're sure they don't have questions. I'm not dying for any. I think it's a good budget. Amy did a great job consolidating all the budgets that were submitted by the department heads, and we did have the workshop and the public hearing.
I don't have any challenges to the thing. I just want to make the comment that I did a lot of study of the budget from a financial perspective, and I just can say very clearly that our city is very well managed and very strong and will continue to be with this budget, which is why I don't have anything I'm proposing changing. I think that our staff has done a great job putting it together.
Agreed. Okay, with that, I'll call the question. All those in favor of passing the operating budget as presented with the included amendment for the $2,000?
Aye.
You can say.
Yeah, aye.
All those aye, everyone, so it's all.
Aye.
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 Okay. I'm sorry, all in favor, aye.
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 Opposed, say nay. Abstentions? Okay.
We try not to interrupt you.
I did the budget better last year. I should just go back in time. Okay, now moving on to the capital budget. There's a few things in here.
Same process though, right? So
Yes.
I will move to approve the capital budget as presented.
Second.
Okay.
Who had the second?
I have a suggestion that I would need someone to make a motion for, and that is, you'd expect me right away to try to decrease it, but one addition I think is necessary. Although we are including in the capital budget already, replacement of the crosswalk on the northernmost part of Genesee Street, right by the bridge, just north of the river, where that's in pretty rough shape. That was pointed out by somebody in the public hearing a while back. We're replacing that with this new material that has been in test phase over by Milwaukee Street, I'm sorry, Blue Collar Coffee. So that's in the budget. What isn't is not an entire replacement, but a repair to the other crosswalks that we have in the city. There's several that have some temporary patches on them that have been beat up pretty bad. And I don't think it serves the city really well, both aesthetically as well as drivability. There's several that act as unwanted jarring bumps, and they don't look real great. So Tom talked with the contractor, one of the contractors that we use for this epoxy-type resin repair process, and the best estimate that he provided me today was that a budget line item of $35,000 should be ample to repair them all. He couldn't get a firm fixed price from the person that he talked to, but it would go out to bid in spring to see how many we could do. If not all, they'd be prioritized in order of worst to best. So I'd be asking for somebody to include a $35,000 line item for replacement of the repair of the crosswalk concrete ribbons.
And rather than a separate line item, that could just be in addition to the street improvement program line item, which is currently in the budget for $700,000, so it'd be increasing it to $735,000.
I move to increase the annual street improvement program line item from $700,000 to $735,000.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Abstentions? Okay. Thank you. I thought that was important, and keep in mind too, the reason we wouldn't be, it's after the fact, sorry. Tom talked about the fact that there is something in the not too distant horizon where Genesee streets need to be repaved. So that much for a 3 to 5 year fix is in order, as opposed to picking the worst ones and replacing them for $35,000 each, which would be torn up within 10 years, would be not wise, so.
I have a question on the municipal lot resurfacing. Is that something that is necessary for this year, or is it something that we could push to another? Like, is it dire, or is that something that could be?
So it's funny you asked. The mayor had the same question, and him and I went out and looked at it.
He's gonna think I said.
Looked at it this
No,
afternoon. It's in really rough shape, but it's functional. And we had the same conversation last year, and the council chose to put it off a year and discuss it now. I would not be opposed to putting it off another year. One item of consideration is when Hendricks was building the grain, long after the development agreement was finalized and whatnot, they came to the city and said, hey, could we use the southern third of the parking lot for storage and staging and whatnot for construction? And at the time, the council approved that, but there was an agreement that Hendricks would pay for half of the cost of paving that section of the parking lot. And that is only established in council minutes as a motion. Since then, there's been much turnover at Hendricks. They've been questioning whether they really need to pay that and where it says that. And I kind of get the feeling that with every year that passes, we have the potential increases that maybe we don't get that money from them, if that makes sense. And it is a minor amount of it. If I remember right, it was 30-some thousand out of the 300.
Yeah, 38.
Yeah. So that's my main concern, but functionally, it just looks rough. There's areas where chunks of asphalt are starting to pop out and whatnot, but it can definitely serve us another year.
So I asked him the same thing, and we were out there this afternoon just before the sun went down, and the worst parts of it are the worst parts of it. It's like, but the two things, the highlights that we had in our discussion at least was, would you do this if this was your driveway? And between our discussion, Tom leaned toward yes, I leaned toward you should go check out my driveway. The main concern there is it was safety. How it presents itself for the block party aesthetically isn't as important as whether or not there's pending trip hazards. Right now, there's very marginal issues with somebody maybe that would have a trip issue. But we've got another winter, that how will it be in spring? So like I said, I'm on the fence, but it is a lot of money. The other question I said was, what's the cost of borrowing going to be? Because we borrow for these capital improvements. What's the cost of money going to be in spring of 2027 versus 2026? And, I told Tom, I'd bet him that it'll be lower in 2027 than in 2026, but should I bet all my neighbors' money, right? I mean, that's the question. So, I think actually putting it to a motion, discussing it, saying remove it and see if, let everybody vote, see what they think.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to remove it for this year and put it on for next year, for discussion for next year.
Second.
Is there any discussion? More questions?
I'm still thinking about what I think about this, but the only consideration that has me take pause is that by doing this, we basically dilute the argument that Hendricks owes us for whatever they did to the parking lot.
Possibly, or we could invoice them now and say there was interest based on the rental that they, I understand the point.
So their share of it is 38?
Correct, 38,000 out of the 300,000.
Out of the 300.
Yeah, I think it would be important to let them know that maybe send something to them to let them know that there is an expectation. However, I don't think, if it's not yet a safety issue, I think we have an obligation to get as much life out of it as we can, and to not be spending money that we don't need to on that yet. So I think we should push it out another year.
Yeah, so we did that with Hendricks last year, and we actually, so the cost estimate's gone up year over year. I think last year it was 288,000 instead of 300,000. And we actually gave them the option to pay their share last year, which would have been like 34 or 35,000, or wait until this year. They said they would get back to me with an answer. They didn't. I reminded them they owe me an answer. They still didn't get back to me. People come and go. I talk to different people, and trying to reestablish the liability that they have has been a challenge, and we'll keep at it if it's removed and pushed out to next year.
I also think if it's,
I'm sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, if it's been documented, we've had communications in our minutes, I think that we have that to go back to, if they try to contest the liability, when it comes time.
Yeah, I guess we are benefiting them by giving them time to generate some revenue with the grain building and have money to pay us with out of that project. So there is that counterpoint, just to point out to them.
Any other discussion on this? Okay, all those in favor of removing it and putting it off till next year?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say nay. Abstentions? Okay. So did you have that, Amy? Okay. Any other questions? Or suggestions on the capital budget?
Well, you know I'm going to have one, so I might as well get it out of the way. I am going to move to,
Go
ahead.
You need to leave after, oh, okay.
I just have something.
Okay, I won't.
Go on.
You want to let the chief skip you?
Of course.
Okay. Come on, Lyndon.
I do have one thing that I will put forth to amend one of our suggested capital projects for the Axon tasers. I was actually able to secure a reduction in our quote due to a early signing of an agreement and a trade-in of our old tasers. So I am suggesting that we amend our capital project for that down to $100,403.20. So that's about a $5,000 reduction in that line item for that project. $100,403.20. And I gave Amy a copy of that as well, so she's got it ready to enter. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we need a motion to accept the chief's decrease?
I would so move.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Don't take too long. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Abstentions? Okay, thanks, chief. Any other items for discussion in our capital budget?
Yeah, I have one. I am going to obviously request that we remove the funding for the Bay Pier in St. John's Bay. Couple of comments and responses to some of the things said. I take note of several things. One, what people don't seem to be taking on board is the bay, unlike the Kettle up north, is a already designated area of special natural resource interest. It's not just a bunch of letters. It actually means something. The DNR restricts dredging. The DNR restricts weed cutting after July 1st, and they don't allow any weed cutting throughout the bay except in a couple of limited swaths. We are aware of that, but most citizens aren't. In fact, one of the comments last meeting from one of the supporters of the pier said that it needs to be cut the weeds because it's too weedy in there, but it's protected for a reason. It has been consistently ignored that the bay is incredibly shallow, and we will learn just how shallow when this pier goes in. So I just want to make it clear that We, as Mary Daniel pointed out in her comments, we don't have maintenance. We don't have a lot of things that would surround this pier in any plan, but we're making a 20-year maintenance commitment. I don't see that it will last, or the use of it will last, because of the shallowness of the bay. The least we could do is put signage up so people understand when they go into that bay, it is not 3 feet deep. There may be pockets of 3 feet, but there aren't. So that you've heard the arguments, we've lost every step of the way, but I just want to make it very clear that people's eyes are wide open when they open this pier up for business. There will be complications, I guess. So I will ask that we not fund the bay, remove it, and that would be the city's share, which is, I believe, $27,750.
Is there a second?
I will second that.
Paul? I'll help point out a couple of things. The legal process that we went through, the city did with the DNR last summer, is a very enlightening document. The brief that came as a result of that was extensive expert witnesses from both the plaintiffs as well as the defendants on that. Multiple DNR biologists and fishery experts testified, and this was a 3.5+ day presentation. And this area of special natural resource interest comprises about 15+% of the lake. It is not unique to St. John's Bay. The Kettle is part of that ANSRI designation as well, as is a small portion of what was dredged this spring or last fall for the city. So there is latitude for the DNR to provide use of what they deem appropriate with their experts and their fishery and biologists and that's the process we went through. Part of the reason the city was even compelled to get a permit was because of the concerns that were raised. Simply putting in a pier does not require a permit. It's a riparian right, which the city has in spades with the hundreds of feet of shoreline that we have there. But going back even further, the concept and desire for a public boat landing, not a launch or marina, but a public boat landing to service downtown is almost as old as the city. In 1967, when they put together the 1970 master plan recommendations, there's statements in there that state that it's too bad, right now it looks like the city is turning its back on the lake, a lake that was formed, a city that was formed around the lake. Its own downtown doesn't have access, and there's specific sections that state that they, back in 1970, that they wanted to acquire the city wants to acquire for park purposes the dam, because that was operated by a conservation organization by the state. So we could turn that into St. John's Park. We've incrementally done that over the past several decades. And it specifically calls out a boat landing for lakeshore residents who wish to dock for shipping in the area and such other activities that may be appropriate to the site. That's 55 years old. And then it was reiterated in 1993 with the supplement to the 1991 master plan, when we did a plan specific to the downtown development plan. It says looking for recreational public boating access improvements at the pond and lakeshore should be passive improvements designed for walk-in use versus automobile-oriented development with extensive parking or boat landings. The boating use along this section of the lakeshore should be limited to transient tie-ups along the pond bulkhead with pedestrian trail access to the downtown business district. So that's 1993, and then again it's reiterated again in their 2030 master plan that was put in place in 2009. where it was part of the Park and Rec's goals to maintain and provide recreational boating access near downtown. So there's nothing that's been blindsided or haphazardly thought out about the idea of having a modest increase to the pier structure that the city already has downtown. And when you've got experts that are in charge of the fishery, and I know Ben personally, I didn't know it was going to be him testifying at the hearing a year and a half ago, but I've met him out on the lake. He's been a DNR officer for a long time, and I fish a lot. But he takes great pride in the success that he's seen and nurtured with the walleye population and other fish on Negawicka Lake. And he was very adamant in his testimony defending the DNR's permitting of the pier and the right of the city to put it in. And that
He expressed regret that he didn't put more restrictions on that pier. I was at the hearing. I was there. You know, I'm up to my eyeballs in this thing. So also, I have letters written by Ben and Heidi Bunk and the other experts who spoke passionately against the pier initially and then later signed off on it. But this is all moot because the defenders, the people who live on the bay, who will be impacted, have lost every step of the way. So I know it's a done deal, but I'm just expressing my deep concern, not because I need to win a football match, but because the bay is incredibly shallow. We had other options to place a pier elsewhere. We didn't entertain them, and now I'm just asking us not to do it, even though I know I'll lose. I just need to speak to it.
okay. None of this is a foregone conclusion. This has been debated for 4 years, and thoughtfully so. This isn't, anyways. Is there any other comments or questions about the?
Yeah, this is as much for off-lake visitors as more so than for people who live on the lake. You know, we're not the kind of lake who's trying to discourage outsiders from using it. This encourages people to use it. This encourages tourism. The DNR approves it. I trust the DNR. If they didn't want a pier in an Asinari area, we would have to remove probably 25% of the piers on this lake, including everybody in St. John's Bay. There's 60 slips there now, probably more. I just did a rough count. This adds 4. It doesn't add traffic to the lake. It makes it convenient for people who visit the lake and need a place to get out of the sun or restock the cooler or find a bathroom, which there is in the park there. This is in a park, a city park. There's garbage disposal. I'd rather have them use park facilities than use the lake for those things, like garbage disposal and going to the bathroom. So it's a convenience thing for everybody that visits the lake.
Is there any other comments?
Yeah, I'd like to make a comment. I'm rather new at this. I kind of came into this controversy at the last minute, so I don't know if I'm rehashing old ground here, but I agree with Alderman Schaefer that the DNR has approved the use. We have riparian rights. It won't affect the bay, but my question is what are going to be the rules and regulations governing the use of the pier? Has that been discussed? Is there a plan? I mean, how long can a boat park there? You know, what if a guy decides to park a boat there and leave it there for a week? Who's going to monitor that? Who's going to regulate that? That's my question. So has that been discussed? Is that something that the Park and Recs Board needs to put a plan together? I mean, construction won't start till, what, June? Would it be too much to ask for a plan from Parks and Rec regarding those types of things before the actual construction starts in June?
That's all very reasonable. So these have been the types of uses and the hours of operation, and that will be the purview of Park and Rec and with cooperation with Lake Welfare, because it kind of straddles those two venues. But it is not for overnight parking. I would be surprised if there's any recommendation outside of having it operational during normal park hours. So
So who will monitor that? And what will the fine be if somebody decides?
it'd be like parking a car overnight in the wrong spots at the fish hatchery parking lot, or tying up at Bleecker and leaving your boat there, or leaving cars indefinitely at the launch at Bleecker Street, or any other type of use, illicit use in any park that we already have.
We have similar restrictions on hours and parking at other parks, so
But there aren't
it's
any.
similar.
There aren't any restrictions for the pier use. You could park your boat there and just leave it there.
Well,
No,
there will
will
be.
be.
There will
They
be
just haven't-
when we have a pier there.
Just for a quick, without exaggerating this too much, we have an existing situation with the ability to park 3 boats there, and we do not have an issue. The only issue that we had for a long period of time was somebody that had no rights to use the pier that thought they did, and that was taken care of. So, so right now, it's almost self-policing right now. Making it public is definitely gonna air it out more, where it's an advertised feature of the lake. So, that's something that will be, handled with, our own policies, moving forward.
The council will need to pass an ordinance to address things like how long can someone park there? Can they park there 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours? And ultimately, it will be enforced by our police department, just as parking downtown on the road is policed by our police department.
Tom, so question that I have for you, there's a question about a maintenance commitment, and a maintenance plan. Do we formulate maintenance plans for each piece of equipment or each capital equipment or expenditure that we have? I mean, aren't they kind of unique to the individual purchase?
Correct, we don't. We put a brief statement in the capital plan on impact on operations. So we don't come up with a long-term maintenance plan for every capital project. But it is anticipated that this will be a very low maintenance improvement, similar to our fishing pier that's out there now. On occasion, DPW will replace a board or something because it's rotted, and that's a wood structure. This is gonna be an aluminum structure. So on occasion, something might come loose or something like that, but I would anticipate a couple times a year, DPW might have to go out there and fix something.
Since it's a floating pier, will it just stay in there all winter long? Is it something that has to be removed?
Correct, it's intended to be a year-round pier left in place throughout the winter.
Are you done, George?
I'm done.
Okay. I was going to mention, I too am one of the newer members of the council, and I had to get my head into this, so I did read all the case documents from the administrative judge hearings and decisions, and there's no question that there was some substantial deliberation and very thorough investigation of this back at that time, and the judge's conclusion seemed to hit every subject that was brought up very effectively, with a clear conclusion that we've, covered our bases and making sure we're being careful. In addition to that, pretty much everyone who's talked to me about this, with some exceptions to the people who've come here to speak during these hearings, have been asking me, because they know that I'm an alderman, when are you going to get that pier in? Because they want to use it. And there are people who don't live on the lake. Most of the people are asking me that. I live in a place where I'm not on the lake, and my neighbors are asking about this because so many of them are fishermen and families that like to go on the lake. So I'm in favor of it because of that. So I'm not in favor of removing it from the budget.
Chief, do you have any concerns from a police protection standpoint of having a pier there for any added issues during the day or night? Or are you comfortable with it?
We're comfortable with absorbing
Okay. Okay, thank you.
I will also say my district is on the other side of the lake, and I have quite a few constituents on the lake who I have had overwhelming support. They are asking me to, because that was one of the things when I first ran for office, that was one of the things that I said I would be for this. And it's now 4+ years later, and they're also asking me, when is this gonna get done?
Any other questions or comments?
I'd just like to make a comment. So maybe I was bored, but I spent time and attended the entire hearing with the DNR, listened to all the testimony on both sides of the ledger, read through all the briefs, read through the judge's conclusion, and in past budget hearings or budget deliberations, I voted against this spending because we hadn't achieved the judge's ruling yet. This year, I'm changing my vote to vote in favor of the spending against the amendment because we've run our course. I mean, we've listened to the constituents, most of whom were in District 3. We understand the importance of the sensitivity of the bay, but in balance for the greater good of the city, I'm in favor of this pier.
Anyone else? Any questions? Okay, all those in favor of removing this from the budget, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay.
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 Did you get that?
So I have Valley and Price as aye for removing and everybody else is nay. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, any other items for discussion on the capital improvement plan?
I have one from Park and Rec, the pedestrian safety lighting in the Riverwalk. We had looked at this in the past, and since I submitted the original request, we got an updated quote for the work, and so I'd need to increase that request from 85 to 97,000. And this is the extension of the lighting that currently exists in St. John's Park through the Riverwalk up to the footbridge. So I moved to increase that amount from 85,000 to $97,014.
I'll second.
Is there any discussion on this?
You said it was 97.
97,014.
Any questions or discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Is there any other questions or items to address in the budget? Three, two, one. Okay. Seeing none, all those in favor of passing the capital budget as amended, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Nay. Motion passes. Okay. That was a big lift. Okay, what else do we have? Item 11H, need to approve the vouchers for November for the amount of $138,210.42 and $120,217.60 for payroll.
I move to approve the voucher list.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed say nay, or abstentions? Okay, budget passed, budget passed, and our voucher, we're gonna pay our bills for this year too. Report of city officials, Tom Hefner.
Yeah, just two items this evening. First of all, last week I did attend the annual administrative committee meeting for Lake Country Municipal Court. During that meeting, we were unanimously approved as a member municipality of the court as opposed to the contract member as we've been in the past. So that's a positive. Judge Kay also went over the kind of an annual review of court operations. The committee reviewed and accepted the 2024 audit. And lastly, there was a review and recommendation to approve the 2026 budget and that budget approval will come before this council for our formal approval of it as a member municipality, but you have effectively already kind of at least approved the overall impact of that budget within our budget, but you'll still see that. So the next step is we do need to appoint our representative on the administrative committee, and that appointment is made by the mayor and confirmed by the council, and I expect that that'll be on our next agenda. The only other thing I had, and Jackie mentioned this previously, is the tree lighting coming up this Friday, so 5 to 6 o'clock at the Clock Tower Square. And that's all I've got to say.
It is a real hallmark moment. It really is. Girl Scouts sing, and it's good stuff. All right. Any requests for future agenda items? If you have any, or anything comes up, please send them to Molly, Tom, and/or I.
Clerk report.
Oh, I'm sorry. Molly, would you like to report on anything? You have quite a bit, actually.
Yeah, so just bringing forth that the 2026 elections, although we're not into 2026 yet, they will be, we're starting to launch everything, primarily for those folks that are up for reelection. The nomination paperwork will need to be circulated starting the 1st of December. I will have that information up on the website by the end of this week. I always do send an email as well, so keep your eyes out for that. And then just kind of one point, we have, a while ago, we approved moving to Waukesha State Bank and Positive Pay for our checks. And for better or worse, we did catch a fraudulent check for upwards of $5,000. Our deputy clerk caught it coming through that it was an attempt at a completely fraudulent check. So it is working, and we are glad that our treasurer here recommended that for us.
Awesome. Okay. Again, request for future agenda items. Reach out anytime. Look in the packet for correspondence. And with no further business on the agenda, meeting is now adjourned at 8:21. Thank you.